It's a wild Wednesday here on KFAN, and we're taking your talkbacks for tickets all day long. Use the talkback feature on the iHeartRadio app and describe this wild season so far in 3 words. Winners will be selected all day for Wild versus Jets tickets tomorrow. Get the details at KFAN.com. Keyword contest.
I mean, it's like, hello?
Huh?
You live by the dog, you die by the dog. Okay, calm down.
Common! Did you yell it down the hall?
Not yet.
You were about to.
I was just playing button bar sound bites.
Beautiful. Well, I had to ask the coroner's office. I said, in regards to licensed music, can you play a snippet on a podcast if it is indeed newsworthy? Because I was told that, for instance, let's say Paul McCartney, now he did not die, but let's say Paul McCartney died, you could open a segment and play a piece of Paul McCartney music because it's a newsworthy item. It's not because you're playing the song. And I was told, yes, you can do that. Short but quick. So we're going to have you do that for
Let
Rock
It Be.
Talk. Well, no, we're not going to do Let It Be. But we are going to play a song because a musician who they think has played more live shows than anybody in the history of the world passed away this
Chris
past.
Hockey.
Well, he's not dead either, as far as I know. But maybe Hockey has played more live shows than anybody.
He plays a lot.
He does. He'd have to go a lot longer to catch up to Bob Weir, but we're going to talk about that during Rock Talk with Brian Oak. But right now, it's time for 534.
Time now for 5 questions. Well, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4. Question number 1.
It's now time to take an in-depth look at the welfare of the wolves.
The question should strictly be, do you like parades? Right? That's probably what you're going to ask me.
The Timberwolves, without Anthony Edwards, without Rudy Gobert, beat the Bucks 139-106 last night in Milwaukee. Julius Randle tallied 29 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. Naz Reid added 19 points. Jaden McDaniel contributed 17 points, 6 boards, and 5 assists. And something called Bones Hyland had 23 points off the bench. The Wolves are 6-1 in 2026. Common, what sticks out to you from last night's win in Milwaukee, and do you like parades?
I like parades. I like Bones Hyland.
Do you like playing Bones Hyland or saying Bones Hyland?
I like saying Bones Hyland more than... Is his real name Bones, do you think, or do you think that's a nickname? Or do you think his birth given name is Bones Hyland? And then was it knee bone? Maybe it's short for knee bone, thigh bone, neck bone, ankle bone. Looks
like Bones is not his real name. It's Nashawn Lee Bones Hyland. Bones is in quotational marks. He was born in Delaware, started playing basketball after watching his older brother and a friend playing at the park. He was nicknamed Busy Bones or Bones in part due to his slender build.
I see. What I like about wasn't it the general manager who he drafted Bones for Denver, I believe. Is that correct? Loved Bones. And Bones' career to this point had been, I just think, I don't think there was anything special about it. And there was a quote from Finch in the Fish Trap Factory West Side today. Maybe it was East Side, but it was a Gamer story. And basically said, they've been trying to encourage Bones to be a bit more aggressive, don't pass up on your shot all the time, blah, blah, blah. And so apparently he did that last night. And as backup point guard. Because, am I correct, is basically Ant the point guard now by default on the club? Has he played the point guard position, I think? He's basically our point guard. And, a Conley too, but I mean, Conley's limited on his minutes because he's a basketball dinosaur. So get more out of Bones is big. How many points did Bones have last night, did you say? Was it 23?
23.
I mean, that's a nice night for anybody. And then the Béranger guy played quite a bit last night, and he apparently... Remember there were those that thought Béranger should start in Iowa? Not a chance, man.
Yeah, he'll be on at 2 o'clock today.
Yeah. You start this guy, you let him play, and now, because of Gobert out, Béranger he must have played 13, 14 minutes, 6, 7 points, 6, 7 boards, assists. He played pretty well for himself. They say, I read there too, he had some real nice spin move or something underneath the basket, reverse layup or something. So they got kids and, you got an opportunity to be a real good player too. I just like the way they're playing. I just wish they could. I guess I just got to get used to the fact that when they play terrible teams, most of the time they're just going to go through the motions. And if they win it, they win it. If they lose, they lose. They just want to be in that top 6. And right now that's where they're headed. Since Thanksgiving, they have the best record in the NBA. So, and the Randall guy, did they bench him in the second half just because he had played so well in the first half? He didn't need to
They were
prove
up by so
anything
much?
else? Yeah, because he had 24 in the first half. I think he was close to a triple-double through one quarter. He was so good last night. And we talked about Randall in depth, I think it was Monday, where there was a piece in the Fish Wrap Factory West Side just talking about where he's been, where he's going, where he's at, and how he likes to get to the stadium early, become one within the basketball court. He likes it quiet and just getting ready for the game. He spends a lot of time. And that's when I asked you, and you said when you go to hockey games, whether you're playing or coaching, you like to be there early.
Oh, love it.
When I do a comedy, I like getting there 2 or 3 hours before the show. I just do. I like to check things out and do everything. And so you and I are both I think I'm as good at comedy as Julius Randle is at basketball. And I think you're as good at coaching hockey as Julius Randle's at basketball. So it's that kind of loyalty and dedication and hard work that pays off. But yeah, it's all good right now. And I know somebody said yesterday, the text, how does that taste, those kind words coming out of your mouth about the Timberwolves are positive things? Give me something positive to talk about, and I will. I mean, once you've made the Western Conference Finals twice in a row, to be a few games over 500 and lose to terrible teams, that doesn't impress me anymore, man. It just doesn't. Now, I like what I see. Keep it up. Let's get that second seed. Rosen basically said that he thought they would be a number 2 seed in the Western Conference Finals. Why stop there? Why don't we get home court advantage? Let's get the number 1 seed.
Objects in your mirror may be closer than they appear.
Correct.
We're now just half a game out of second place.
Yeah.
Half game behind San Antonio and Denver.
How many are we out of first? Can't be that far.
We are 7.
All right, there we go.
That's still sizable.
Yeah, but there's time.
By the way, I was reading Bones Highland's Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
Had no idea. His junior year, his 11th-month-old cousin and grandmother died in a house fire. He escaped by jumping from his second-floor bedroom. He ended up suffering a torn patellar tendon, which sidelined him for 6 months. But that's
So
pretty.
think about that tragedy.
That's pretty sad. Yeah.
It's just tragic.
Question number 2.
It's time now for What's Your Rank? A 10 hot.
All right, Common, rank the following on what's most likely to happen in 2026 in Minnesota sports. A, Wild acquire Sidney Crosby. B, Wolves acquire Ja Morant. Or C, the Vikings sign Aaron Rodgers.
Well, you seem to think, you've mentioned Crosby's name a couple of times, and I don't know if that's just wishful thinking or if you actually
I'd say it's wishful thinking.
I would say Rodgers signing with the Vikings.
I'd put that 1.
Yeah, I would put that 1. Because I don't think I had made a notation in my notes. Believe it or not, I shouldn't tell people. This kind of spoils the bit. It's like taking a look at the curtain behind the Wizard of Oz. I do a little bit of show prep, and I saw a story when it first became the rumor that Morant was going to be on the trading block. Landing spots for Morant, and one of them was Minnesota. Matter of fact, that was the first team on this list. But now I think since then they've been removed. I don't think the Wolves have any interest. It would be a tough. And I don't know if I want Morant. Isn't he the guy that's had trouble a couple times with he's had some off court issues, and I don't know how good he really is. And I don't know. I kind of like the way I don't know. I don't know if he can add more salary, but he's a hell of a talent. So, but I don't think they're going to go after him. And I don't know if Crosby's a possibility, but I think Aaron. He's going to play again. I think, and the Vikings made no bones Highland about it yesterday. That they said we'd like to make sure that our quarterback room's a little deeper. And so I think I think this time they might welcome Aaron. Though if they do, you know it's Rodgers is going to be the starter, right? Because he's not coming here. He's not going on the, well, just sit on with tutor the kid and have the visor on. And no, he ain't doing that. So, but I think it's a possibility.
Question number 3. And now it's time to go in the trenches.
NFL.com today had a story putting together confidence rankings, Super Bowl odds for 8 NFL playoff teams still in contention. So they ranked 8 teams and how confident they are on winning a Super Bowl. At 8, they have the 49ers, 7, Broncos, Bears at 6, Texans at 5, Patriots at 4, Bills at 3, Rams at 2, and Seahawks at number 1. Common, do you agree with their big game confidence ranking?
Confidence ranking. Yeah. I mean, I guess I give the Bears a little bit better of a chance. I know they do. They come from behind victories, and they look awful for good portions of the game. And I know that Caleb Williams isn't a complete quarterback yet, but I like their chances better than they're giving it. I guess 49ers at the bottom just because they are so injury ravaged. But my gosh, they almost pulled. They beat the Eagles. And they lost Kittle for much of the second half, and they haven't had a lot of starters all year long. I know that and I've heard enough from the Viking fans. Viking fans that were all in on going with McCarthy instead of Darnold. A couple of reasons. I think the biggest one is they just don't want Darnold to be really good because that would prove the Vikings made a bad decision and they would kill him. I think also it's. People do look at that game against the Lions and the game against the Rams. They didn't play very good. There's 20 turnovers this year. But I've said it a million times. I'll say it again. Mahomes ain't available, and nor is Josh Allen. So you play with, you got to take the best of the lot after that. And I think Darnold's a really good quarterback. Kid's got a lot of confidence. He's going to turn the ball over. Matter of fact, I guarantee you against the Rams, he's going to turn the ball over once or twice. But I still think they're going to win, and I think they can win the big game, and I would put them as the favorite, absolutely.
And that's it for today's edition of 5 questions. Well, actually 3 questions, but 5 sounds like more than 4.
Rock Talk and Rock Rank with Brian Oak is next here on The Fan.
The Fan wants to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with our national cash contest. Enter the keyword credit at KFAN.com now for a shot at winning. That keyword is credit. Enter now at KFAN.com.
How are we back already? It's Rock Talk.
How are you not back already?
Well, I went to the restroom is all I did and opened the door for Brian. I went to the restroom. Usually we have 9-minute breaks.
In the words of Steve Miller, time keeps on slipping into the future.
Still, one of my favorite moments was the Steve Miller concert. Rock Talk, that's Brian Oak. This was 2015 at Welch, Minnesota. Treasure Island, outdoors, amphitheater. Peter Frampton opened for him. That's when Frampton came apart. That's where
lost his mind.
He lost his mind because he's in this intricate guitar solo, kind of a slower one. And the crowd's cheering. He looks up. Why are they cheering? Well, camera guy from the stage had put it on some gallows on some guy's shoulder.
Yeah.
Look, the Frampton Comes Alive album. And everybody thought it was cool. Does it again, and Frampton's mad. He storms off stage. No one knows what's going on. 20 minutes later, he comes back on, runs over to the camera guy. He's trying to pull the camera out of his hands.
Wow. 20 minutes later, he's still mad.
Yeah. And I think what happened is Steve Miller finally probably went to him and said, if you don't go back on stage, you're not getting your paycheck.
Right.
You have to finish the show. And he was mad because he said, well, I'm into my guitar playing. It's a quiet moment. And it's like, well, dude, look, you're at the end of your career. You should be happy you're still playing and people want to see you. It's just like...
You're at a rock show.
Yeah.
You're not at the Philharmonic.
Yes,
okay?
exactly.
I mean, you're lucky it was just somebody waving their arms back and forth, sitting on someone's shoulders. It could have been anything. That is about the most un-rock and roll thing I've ever heard in my life.
Do you feel like we do? I mean, his biggest song is about a hangover.
Yeah.
And so just relax, and he did.
Just play your songs.
But it made national news.
Oh, yeah.
It made worldwide news, and I was there. It was Deuce's second ever concert.
Fabulous.
He was with me. It was so much fun.
Memories.
We played Truckin'.
Yeah, we did.
By the Grateful Dead. And full disclosure, neither you or I would be considered a deadhead.
No, but I consider myself very dead adjacent for a couple of reasons. One is that I pay attention to music, and the Dead are an important part of the story of American music, certainly in the 60s. And also, I, for the period of about a year, lived with 4 other Deadheads.
You told me that.
So that's all I've ever heard. I heard, that was all we heard during that. I was like, I've got the new Pixies record. We could put that on. And no, it was yet another hissy, scratching dupe tape of Fillmore 71 with Hamza Eldin guesting on the drum segment. And it went on. And I know, let's just say I know enough about the Dead to understand them and to report factually on them, but I am not what you would call a Deadhead.
They were folk rock, I guess, psychedelic, right?
Very much. I mean, they were the beating heart of San Francisco's psychedelic music scene at a really unprecedented time in America. Certainly, there were bands out of that area that
Starship.
They went on to much greater
Joplin.
Commercial success, but nobody ultimately ended up creating the decades-long thing that they created. And while the revolution, the counterculture movement is happening, they were as important as any band in what we call the Haight-Ashbury. I mean, in one of the most iconic moments in musical history, space-time that ever existed, because again, there had been nothing else like it. And there was a genuine belief that a new utopia was being born out of the midst of all the chaos, sounds vaguely familiar, that somehow there was this area out on the West Coast, nestled up against the ocean in gorgeous Northern California, where peace and love were the defining rules of the day, where people could be free, where we could all just get together, man. And unfortunately,
sounds like
of course,
you're writing an anthem for that period.
I'm saying that was the belief at the time nationwide. And so you saw this sort of unprecedented, certainly there have been huge migrations in America at certain times based on various reasons. But this was the first really truly sort of mega cultural, music-oriented, and spiritual-oriented movement where so many people from every walk of life, every portion of the country moved to this one city in hopes of this impossible utopia. And, of course, it was impossible. The dream didn't last long, and it got dark and ugly very fast.
It died at Altamont.
Yeah, well, and maybe even started to die before that, but that was the final nail in the coffin, to be certain. George Harrison once very, very famously went to see the Haight because he's like, man, all anybody talks about is the groovy hippie movement, and he was into genuine peace and love and enlightenment. And he went there, and he sort of famously was underwhelmed and even disappointed, saying, he came here he wanted to believe that the dreams and the stories were true. And he said it was dingy and it was dirty and it was filled with pimps and grifters and drug dealers. And it wasn't anything like the promised utopia of the songs. If you're going to San Francisco, wear flowers in your hair, a gorgeous anthem that captured the hearts and imagination of a generation of young people who wanted something different, wanted something better, didn't want the establishment, didn't want what had come before them. And it turned out that's just what it was. It was a dream. It was a nice hope for a few years, but ultimately the Haight collapsed under the weight of its own excesses. And it was a utopian dream that couldn't be sustained. But while it was going on, a lot of important music came out, a lot of important figures in American popular culture surfaced, and the Grateful Dead are very, very much a part of this pretty incredible time in American history.
Are You Going to San Francisco by Scott McKenzie?
I love San Francisco is a gorgeous city, and of all the places to make your counterculture revolution, that's a good one right there.
This headline says, the first paragraph of the story says, Bob Weir, a founding member of the Grateful Dead whose rhythm guitar work, songwriting, and tireless touring helped push traditional American blues and folk music into the modern era. He died. He beat cancer, but he had some underlying health issues. Mm-hmm. That's what it says. The statement also posted that he had been diagnosed with cancer in July and beat it, but succumbed to underlying lung issues. Across more than 6 decades, Weir was one of music's true road warriors, performing thousands of shows with almost a dozen bands. And though he often stood figuratively and sometimes literally in Jerry Garcia's shadow, Weir eventually assumed the status of elder statesman of the jam band music genre that spun off from the Dead. Jerry Garcia died. Was that back in like 2005 or was it even earlier than that?
Might have been. I don't even remember off the top of my head. It was a minute ago.
I like that. When they met, Bob Weir was significantly younger.
He was by far
Yeah.
the youngest member. I mean, he was the young, fresh-faced teenager who joined up with these guys that were already kind of grizzled vets of the scene, certainly in San Francisco, of the cultural scene, if not the music scene.
Born in San Francisco in 1947, Weir gravitated to folk music in his teenage years. It was a chance encounter with Garcia in a Palo Alto, California music store on New Year's Eve 1963 when Weir was just 16 years old. That would start one of the most important friendships in rock history. Together, Garcia and Weir formed the basis for the Dead's emergence as not just a band, but as a counterculture unto itself. And that's not understated. That's true. That doesn't sound like, oh, you're exaggerating because the guy died. It was a counterculture unto itself.
And remained so well after the 60s and the 70s when we think about both musical and cultural counterculture movements. They created an entire ecosphere of people who traveled around the country and around the world, literally, to see them perform live. And there was an entire microcosm, an entire industry, an entire culture that was set up around the Dead's music and the Dead touring. No one had done that before, and it really hasn't been duplicated since.
There is probably no more loyal fan base. I don't think there is.
To say I would agree with that. I mean, there are fans who are ride or die with the bands that they love.
Yes.
But in terms of scope and scale and duration, no band like that.
I also read in one of the many stories I read about Weir that they figure nobody has performed in front of a live audience more often in the history of music than Bob Weir, because for 6 decades they constantly toured. That's what they did records. None of the records were ever considered overwhelming. It was their road shows, their live performances that were always different, always ad-libbed. I just read stories about how Weir would do things and musicians that joined his band would have to follow along, and they loved it. They said to just try to keep pace, and no 2 songs were ever done the same.
Right.
And again, I wasn't a Dead. They only had one top 10 hit, and that was Touch of Grey, very late.
That was
like
the 80s. Yeah.
Otherwise, even like Truckin', that was if you were a Deadhead, and I know if you're a big Deadhead, you probably go, Truckin's just way low on the list of their great songs. But it was the kind that, when in my Haight-Ashbury days, that was the song that attracted us to the Dead. Wayne never became a Deadhead. But yeah,
they've got some songs I like, and what I really love living with those Deadheads and actually going on tour with them a couple times. I liked the people, I liked the culture, I enjoyed the recreational substances, I loved the vibe, the nature that we were outside of everything else that was going on and charting our own course and doing this and enjoying this thing. And I just wish I liked the music better.
Jerry died in 1995. I'm
there
told
we
it was
go.
even further back than
30 years ago.
Yeah, 30 years ago. Let's take a break, come back. There's more music news to get to, and Rock Rank, all that and more here on Rock Talk with Tennessee Common and Brian Oak here. I think you have a podcast. We'll talk about that too when we come back.
Chime in on what's happening with your favorite KFAN program. Make your voice heard on the Brad, Sean, Brian text line. Let us know what you have to say by texting your message to 64686. That's 64686. Standard message data rates apply.
I'm Common. He's Tennessee. He's Brian Oak.
Yep.
You have a podcast.
I do. It's going very, very well, actually. It's called The Brian Oak Show. It is available
Did you say it was going very, very well?
It is going very, very well. We've been doing it for... In terms of listenership, we've never had better numbers. In terms of duration, we just recorded episode 545 yesterday, featuring an incredible band out of South Minneapolis. You're familiar with the movie School of Rock?
Sure.
Okay, well, there's real-life schools of rock in virtually every city in this country where it's a way to encourage very young kids to get involved in making music with each other. Well, one such band that came together, a group of friends from Minneapolis known as Kickstart, and they have got this awesome benefit coming up on Saturday at the Ladonia Cerveceria in Northeast Minneapolis, where they're going to play. And the 2 guys who were on my podcast yesterday, Eddie and Sebastian, shout out to you both. Eddie's 13. He plays the bass. Sebastian is 14. He plays is the Guitar, a 7-member teenage band who are out there making rock action happen from a very young age. And their concert on Saturday is a benefit for many of their neighbors who are in dire straits these days. And we'll leave it right there. But one of the members of the band, a kid, was actually tackled outside his own high school, and we'll just leave it there. So they are young kids doing the right things for the right reason. They were awesome, and that's just one example of how my podcast focus on the Twin Cities and the greater Twin Cities area. It's 95% about music, 5% about the other stuff out there. And I appreciate that people listen and continue to share and amplify, because I don't know, I love music and I love Minnesota and Minneapolis specifically, and I'm always going to do everything I can to promote and protect this lovely area that we live in.
I don't know if you saw this story. Do you know who Vinnie Vincent is?
Yeah, Vinnie Vincent's Invasion. Now, I don't know. I couldn't name a song with a gun to my head. But I remember seeing the outrageous hair metal stylings, the impossible outfits.
He was with Kiss for a while.
He was, right. He was one of the guys who came along later. And then he came out with a band called Vinnie Vincent's Invasion. And that is where my Vinnie Vincent knowledge comes to a grinding halt.
Here's what it says. Ex-Kiss member Vinnie Vincent announced last month he would sell his new record, Judgment Day Guitarmageddon.
Guitarmageddon!
One song. He was going to release it. He was going to release it one song at a time. The controversial decision offered fans collector singles as individually signed and numbered CDs, each costing $200 plus shipping, but only once reaching 1,000 pre-sales. So if you want to listen to the song, you have to give him $200, and you get to own the song. The first single, Ride the Serpent, is described as a nearly 8-minute intense guitar power drive featuring Vincent on guitars and bass, Robert Fleischman, formerly of Journey, on vocals, and Kerry Jordan on drums. Vincent wrote and produced the song. According to Ultimate Classic Rock, the website lists 18 song titles, so buying the complete album would cost at least $3,600. He defended the price, arguing that the rollout plan was his best way of fighting against illegal downloads, file sharing, streaming services, and other changes to the music industry over the years that have made it harder for artists to get paid adequately. Rolling Stone reported last month that he insisted each CD single is worth more than most entire albums, if he doesn't mind saying so himself.
What was the name of the song, did it say?
Riding the Serpent.
Riding the Serpent from Guitarmageddon.
From Guitarmageddon. It would be the first full-length album from Vinnie. It would be the first full-time album from Vinnie Vincent Invasion since 1988.
So his first album in over 35 years.
Yep.
And he never really had a hit to begin with. He's a rock figure, an established guitar player, and I'm sure he has whatever the smaller version of a legion is of fans. And I do seriously sympathize with the struggles of musicians in the industry. The game has changed completely, and it's not like it was in the 80s, right? And so while we do need to find innovative, interesting, and competitive ways for musicians to compete and stay doing what they do in the marketplace, given the nature of the changes, I wouldn't pay $3,200 for a new.
Don't short him.
Sorry, $3,600 for a new David Bowie album.
It gets better. Vincent responded to backlash online, telling fans that he's perfectly fine never releasing the music if not enough people pay his asking price. Here's what he said.
Wow.
He wrote this on Facebook. There's no money in record labels. They're a dead end. Unless I get compensated for my work, the album stays unheard. The praise from a fan base is pointless unless I'm compensated first. I am the manufacturer. I produce high-end product. I set the price accordingly. It's that simple. There's no argument here. There's no discussion. I've created an elite product for elite taste. I just love it. So for the smash and grab EBT card group of self-entitled complainers biatching about price, bleep off.
Wow. Well,
so it comes down to this. This is what he writes. If the fan support's not there, which it does not appear to be, this record will not be released. Am I fine with that? Absolutely, 100%. It will be the greatest album of all time, never to be heard, never to be released. If people want my music and think they're punishing me by not buying it because of the price, it matters not to me. They're the ones who will lose out.
You're going to lose out on your $200 for one song. One song. Now, again, a course correction is fine, and finding a way to compensate artists, I wholeheartedly applaud those endeavors. There isn't a song that's come out that's worth $200, let alone by Vinnie Vincent.
It gets better.
How is it possible?
Vincent also doubled down on his boasts, comparing Guitarmageddon to Meet the Beatles, Led Zeppelin 2, Jimi Hendrix' Are You Experienced, Jeff Beck's Truth, Cream's Wheel of Fire, and anything from Pink Floyd.
Anything.
Well, I just said Pink Floyd, etc.
Yeah.
He says, the only difference in these albums are generation tested and have the benefit of fermentation of time.
And people bought them in the first place.
But as for impact and perfection from first song to last, Guitarmageddon is a classic.
Wow.
If he doesn't mind saying so himself.
You see, literally by definition, it can't be a classic. Only time can bestow that particular honorific. That's one of.
That's so good.
I mean, there's megalomania and there is self-involvement, and then there's whatever this nonsense that Vinnie Vincent is doing. Unless you are an independently wealthy headbanger who still remembers the halcyon days of hair metal from the 80s, and you happen to have an outrageous trust fund, no one is going to buy that. No one.
No.
Not one person.
No, and but I just absolutely like it. I love it. I like as a matter of fact, hey, if you don't want to listen to it, don't worry. It's the greatest album of all time.
Yeah, if you don't want to hear the greatest album of all time, feel free. Go ahead and walk on by, and you'll be kicking yourself later when your kids have face tattoos of Vinnie Vincent over their own face.
It was so much fun.
That is, I mean, again, the world is so bizarre that every time I want to be mind-boggled by these, I've learned, no, and really this is sort of a garden variety weirdo rock and roll story. You know, there's a lot going on out there, and thank you, Vinnie Vincent, for at least giving me a very hearty shot. If that story had stopped after the fact that he was calling his album Guitarmageddon, I still would have been delighted by that story. Right. And you were right when you kept saying it gets better. Yeah. That's a good one right there.
I used this with Lil B. I was going to use it with you last Wednesday, but you were out. And
I was.
And I did this with Lil B on Friday. This out of Variety. A current musician, singer, I think more than musician, but I don't know.
Sure.
Became the 5th musician to reach the milestone of billionaire.
Wow.
Who do you think that was?
Well, let's think. Is Taylor Swift a billionaire already?
She's on that list already.
Yeah. I'm trying to think who the other billionaires are. Beyonce is a billionaire?
That's it.
She's number 5?
She just reached that list.
Yeah.
Yes, she reached that list.
Do you have the rest of that list on you?
Yes, I have the list.
Who are the other billionaire musicians?
Let's see if you can guess any of them. First of all, you did mention Taylor Swift and Beyonce. So
and we're talking about people who are making music right now, right? Not legends?
They are all still working.
Paul McCartney?
No.
Okay.
One is a female, the other 2 are males.
Okay, another female because a billion, even though we seem to hear the term billionaire all the time, a billion is still a tremendous amount of money. Who's the other? Madonna?
No.
No.
It's a one-named artist.
Cher?
No.
Okay. Shakira?
No.
I'm just gonna be obvious, right?
Yeah. Well, maybe not obvious, but it's a name that's been around for a long, long time now. Very, very successful.
Adele?
No.
Charo?
No. Charo.
You're welcome. That was for you.
Yeah, thank you. Starts with an R.
Rihanna's because all of her other endeavors, her makeup stuff and her clothing stuff.
I think that's what it means.
But I mean, her personal wealth is at over $1 billion. I remember hearing that a while ago. And the other 2 are dudes, huh? Jay-Z on that list?
Yeah, Jay-Z. So think you have 2 in one family that are billionaires.
Nice. Well, you like to keep things equal in most relationships whenever you can.
Who's the breadwinner in that family? Is Dre on there?
No.
With his Beats by Dre?
He's not a billionaire. Well, but maybe, yeah. I don't know.
With his headphones.
Who's the other guy? It's going to be someone I don't like. I already know. I can't think of it.
Okay, I'll just give you one hint. Hold on for 1 second. Let me give you this as a hint.
I hope you're all out there screaming along in your car because it's super obvious, but I can't, because $1 billion, that's a real high watermark. So we've got Rihanna, we've got Jay-Z, we've got Beyonce, we have...
He did this song.
Okay.
In the day we sweat it out on the streets of a runaway American dream.
Oh,
at night,
really?
At night we ride through mansions of glory in suicide machines.
Bruce Springsteen is a billionaire. I would love to see a breakdown of that because, again, no disrespect at all to one of the great American troubadours, but $1 billion is a lot of money, even for someone who tours aggressively and consistently and satisfyingly as he does. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money, but apparently he's got it.
Well, good for him and good for everybody on the list. You know what? For every Beyonce, there are thousands of Vinnie Vincents.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, here's one.
Well, congratulations to Beyonce for joining a very exclusive club.
You're getting
Certainly earned it.
You're getting ripped.
Go ahead.
This one says, "What a hater Oak is." Vinnie Vincent Invasion, Vinnie Vincent Guitar Armageddon. You don't have to like them, but you have to pay an arm and leg for access. Well, you do. That's more than an arm and leg.
I like it when someone gets the bit. I don't mind taking a little heat, but well done. That was excellent. Yeah, it's...
You don't have to like them, but you have to pay an arm and a leg.
But you do have to take out a second mortgage if you want that whole album. And once you get a taste of it through Ride the Serpent.
Ride the Serpent.
Once you hear Ride the Serpent, there's no way you can say no to the remaining 17 tracks. It's farcical. It's beyond the pale.
It's time now for
Rock Rank.
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 Rock Rank. We love Rock Rank.
Brian, today I want you to rank your top 5 duos of all time.
Ooh.
Your top 5 duos.
I'm more than happy to do this, but I want to save enough time at the end. What's that?
Indigo Girls at the top of the list?
Why don't they're at the number 1 on the alternate list? What I was going to say is either before or after I give you my top 5, the list of honorable mentions on this is devastatingly huge because this was really hard to whittle down. And again, I didn't go by popularity. I went my top 5 duos of all time. Coming in at number 5, I know he's not a likable dude and history will remember him as such. But when they were together and when they were at their peak, for my personal taste, the height of soul meeting rock and roll is Ike and Tina Turner. Ike and Tina Turner together because, like it or not, whether or not, Ike was a bad person. We know that now. But he also made some of the most incredible, heavy, riff-oriented soul music in the entire era. And, of course, we're talking about one of the greatest living vocalists of all time in Tina Turner. So those two together, they come in at number 5 on my list.
I will say that could be like a conversation for another day of how you're supposed to feel about artists that you loved.
Oh, there's a lot on that list.
And then a lot of, off the mic stuff happens and you don't
right.
I liked R. Kelly.
How
am I supposed to feel about him now? Can I still listen to his music?
We call that how do we separate the art from the artist?
Yeah.
And
that might be another topic for another day.
Well, and that's a tricky one because everyone has to draw that line wherever they can live comfortably.
Yeah.
Like Gary Glitter, involved in some very nasty stuff, but we still hear his songs every time you're at a stadium to see a sporting event.
Can I ask for I need a ruling.
Yeah.
Steely Dan.
Yep, they count.
That counts
That
because
does count.
It was Fagan and Becker, and they had other musicians play, but they were the two.
They were the main ones.
That they were the constant. They were the ones that wrote the music.
No, they absolutely count as a duo.
Because that's my number 1.
Number
I jump
1.
right to number 1. Fagan. Steely Dan is one of my favorite bands.
And they show up on every list of famous musical duos you ever see.
You're not a huge fan.
Not a huge fan, but I understand why they're your number 1, and I understand why so many people revere them so deeply. It just, again, it all falls down to you don't get to pick what you love, and I've never heard a song that just kind of got me,
Yeah.
I've heard good songs by him, but not for me.
Well, I think you also told me, too, because they were such perfectionists and that you thought, well, you don't have to be perfect. And that because they were, so bad.
Oh, yeah.
They would bring in Brian Oak to play a guitar riff.
And not be happy until I left crying.
Like a 25-second guitar riff. And you played for 8 hours and they'd go, hey, thanks for coming in. We appreciate it. And then they would say it wasn't good enough.
Correct.
That's how perfectionist.
And again, that's fine. You're allowed as an artist to set the standard that you want to express to the world, but it's not my jam.
I just love their sardonic look at things, their satiric. I just love their song. But anyways, that would be number
4.
Number 4 is a French electronic duo whose faces we rarely, but really never saw publicly. Daft Punk coming in at number 4.
Up all night to get lucky. Up all night to get lucky.
And see, now, but again, that's only one. Here's one of the reasons I love them is that they were different with every album they put out. Sometimes they were a classic, down-tempo, groove, funky beats and nothing else. Other times they did a full-blown disco album like that where they brought in Pharrell and Giorgio Moroder. I've always loved a lot of techno music and electro EDM, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. The name is less important than the quality of what's being put out. There's a lot of pedestrian stuff, a lot of terrible stuff, but very few people, very, very few bands ever have brought the kind of music they do to a scale like that. Bands like Justice and Chemical Brothers are close, but Daft Punk to me is the high watermark of electronic music in the last 15, 20 years.
Okay, very
Number
good.
three.
Number three. Common's going to be with me on this one. We are going back to the early 70s, really throughout all the 70s to, well, you have one of the lines that you used to say on the air regularly, not that you repeat yourself often, but you used to, regards this band, and it was before I really got to know you, and it endeared you to me as much as anything you'd ever said on the radio when you were back selling that was a song by Karen Carpenter. Or no, what did you say?
That's the Carpenters, Karen Carpenter and her sister Richard.
Exactly, because he had that common early 70s. I had the same cut when I was a kid, and little kind of a Prince Valiant, little Lord Fauntleroy. And but that being said, jokes aside,
I'm glad you added them.
Carpenters are perfect American pop. The production is flawless. You may say a little lifeless, but it's so clean and so pretty and so beautiful. And then
Karen Carpenter's voice.
Well, that's it. Then you you put the beating heart in the center of that perfect machine with Karen Carpenter's unparalleled voice, her command of phrasing, her use of dynamics. There's really not ever been anybody quite like her. And I think the two of them together, the Carpenters, although a lot of people see it as light rock or elevator music, I think are
some of it's very cheesy.
Yes, but only because it's so well produced and so approachable.
And the songs are kind of corny.
I don't think that not corny like Captain and Tennille corny, who are on my honorable mentions list, by the way, but not in my top five. Yeah. The Carpenters, I can see why people poo-poo them, especially like, I was a young punk rock kid in the 80s. Carpenters weren't
what
cool.
Song was played at every wedding back then? Was it Close to You? Was that the song? It was played on almost... It's every...
Suddenly
you
appear.
could do Richard's voice.
Every time.
But think about that.
You are near.
That was played at every single wedding back then.
Just like me.
Number two.
Long to be close to you. Thank you for indulging me there. Number two, somewhere between the worlds of folk and rock, when America hadn't made up its mind, and you didn't really have to make up your mind, but folk was gigantic. Rock and roll was gigantic.
Boy, though my story seldom told.
No, we're not. No. We're going to go back even a little bit before them to a band that would go on to influence modern day country artists, would go on to influence punk rockers. Virtually every singer-songwriter.
Kenny and Dolly, what a pair.
No.
Bye, love.
The Everly Brothers. Yeah, the Everly Brothers to me, of that era, of bands and performers of that ilk, I don't think anybody came anywhere near them in terms of songwriting, in terms of execution. If you want a good example of how it translates into the modern age, Billie Joe Armstrong, lead singer of Green Day, and Norah Jones put out a record together called Foreverly that is their love letter to the Everly Brothers, and highly, highly recommended.
My brother opened for the Everly Brothers for 3 weeks.
Fabulous.
At the Desert Inn. He said they were the two kindest, most easiest guys to ever work with. He's got all sorts of
and some
Everly
of the
Brothers
greatest
stories.
performers and songwriters in American music history.
We go to number one.
Number one.
Number one. I know it's criminal to you that I did not include Simon and Garfunkel on this list, but again, we're talking my list.
Yes.
Number one favorite American musical duo of all time is the White Stripes out of Detroit, Michigan. Period. Why? What'd you think I was going with?
Hall & Oates.
Okay, listen,
Where's Hall & Oates?
Super fast. Here's my list of honorable mentions. Simon and Garfunkel, Jan and Dean, Smothers Brothers, amazing. Sleaford Mods, Eurythmics, Indigo Girls, Outkast.
Sonny and Cher.
Hall & Oates, Captain and Tennille, Air Supply, Salt and Pepper, although they're technically a trio, Sam and Dave, Seals and Croft, Shields and Yarnell, Sonny and Cher, and the Righteous Brothers.
Hall & Oates had one good song.
That is incorrect.
That's vastly incorrect.
They have one good song, and that song would be She's Gone.
They have one good song
is their
and
best song.
dozens of great songs.
And no one's going to agree with me on this. I think on that list on my top five would be Loggins and Messina.
Yeah,
Kenny
no, a lot of people agree
Jim
with you.
Messina from Poco.
Go look online, and a ton of people think they belong in the top.
I think their music was so spectacular.
Yeah.
I loved everything they ever did. Especially, I know you're not supposed to select greatest hits albums as your favorite albums, but their Best of Friends album, which is their greatest hits album, Every single song from start. I've had 9 copies of that album and just worn it right out.
I understand. I know how it goes.
Very good. Always good to see you. And again, that podcast, if people are interested.
It's called The Brian Oak Show. And if you care about music anywhere near as much as I do, it's kind of the focus of the whole show. So I would encourage you to tune in. The Brian Oak Show podcast. You can go back and listen to any one of the 545 episodes, and you can do that by finding it on the free iHeartRadio app.
See you next Wednesday.
See you then.
That's Brian Oak. We'll take a break, come back. Mark Rosen joins us next here on The Fan.